Hey paparazzi, my name is Autumn, and today we're going to be talking about best practices for selling in person using your Premiere app. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cover a couple of the setup items that you'll want to do before you go to your in-person event. So the first thing we're going to talk about is consultant cost reimbursement. And if you don't know what consultant cost reimbursement is, it's essentially the sales tax. And what I mean by that is when you purchase from Paparazzi wholesale, you're paying the sales tax, the retail value sales tax upfront at wholesale. And so if you'd like to be reimbursed for those, for the sales tax that you paid at wholesale, consultant cost reimbursement is the way to do that. And so a lot of people ask, well, why don't you just call it sales tax? And the reason is because when you're collecting it, you're not actually remitting it to the state, right? For sales tax. So you can't, legally, you can't call it sales tax because sales tax on these items have already been paid by Paparazzi on your behalf. And so I'll show you where you can set that up and turn that on or off. A couple other things with consultant cost reimbursement, because it's not a fee that your customers may be used to. They may have questions. And so on invoices and receipts, we have put a little help bubble next to the consultant cost reimbursement that explains what this fee is. We've also added it to the app for consultants to have easy access to an explanation that can kind of help you explain it to your customers. The next thing you want to think about is a shipping default. So by default, Premiere will have all orders defaulted to be shipped. And when you're in person, you're obviously not shipping any of the product. And so rather than having to toggle the shipping setting off every single time, you can go in and do a default setting to turn shipping off before your in-person event. The next thing we're going to talk about is your online store. And there's a couple of schools of thought with your online store. And when I say online store, this is your personal inventory that's on your website that comes with Premiere. And so if you have a small inventory and you're taking your entire inventory with you to the event, you probably want to turn your online store off. And so and I'll show you how to do that. But the reason why is because if you're taking all this inventory to the event and you're selling through, but your online store is still open and you receive orders while you're away, when you get back, if you've sold through all of those pieces of jewelry, you won't be able to fulfill the online store orders that came in while you were away. The next thought is if you're taking maybe half or a portion of your inventory with you to the event, you can also go into your inventory and make the items that you're taking with you not visible on your online store. And by doing that, then you can take those items. People can still shop the remainder of your inventory that you're not taking with you. And so that's another option. And I'll show you where you can do that. And then the last option is if you just have a massive inventory and you're taking quantities with you, but you have enough at home, then you would just leave your online store open and hope that there's a bunch of sales waiting for you when you come back, generated from your online store. And then the last thing we'll talk about is setting up and testing a card reader for in-person sales. So let's jump over to the app and I'll show you where you can set up these things. Okay, so in the app, I'm going to tap on the hamburger menu and go down to settings. And then I'm going to scroll to consultant cost reimbursement. And right here, you can see this is simply just toggling it on or off, whether you want consultant cost reimbursement on or off. So you want to collect that fee or not. We're going to leave it on for purposes of today's demo. The next thing is we're just going to scroll down a little bit further and go to ship order default. And right here, we want to make sure that this is toggled off. And so by default, these orders won't ask to be shipped or charging shipping each time. Save that. The next setting we talked about was your online store. So if you're choosing to turn your online store off, then you would simply scroll down to your online store and toggle it off, and this would turn it off. If you're choosing to have your online store on, but just setting some inventory to not be visible, we'll turn this back on and you can come into your inventory, and any of the pieces that you're taking with you to the event that you wouldn't want available on your own online store, you simply just tap the eyeball and it will toggle the visibility setting off. And so you can do it that way. Also, remember to hit save after you make those changes. Okay, and then the next thing we want to talk about is setting up your card reader. So one of the most common misconceptions with the card readers is how you connect it. So intuitively, if you have a device, a Bluetooth device, you're going to think, oh, I go into the Bluetooth settings on my phone or, my tablet or iPad, and I connect it that way. Well, that is not how a card reader, these card readers work with Premiere. So in Premiere, you'll actually go and you'll set up the card reader in through the app, through Premiere. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. Before we actually set that up, though, I am going to switch back over here and we're going to talk about the card reader just a little bit more. So this is the card reader. You can purchase this from ProPay. And at the end of this training, I'll walk you through how to do that. But the card reader, you can do a tap, you can insert a card, or you can swipe a card through the back. And some of the most commonly asked questions are, can I use this card reader when it's charging? The answer is yes. So be sure to take your card reader's charging cable with you to the event. And then you'll want to make sure that your card reader is fully charged before you go to the event. How long will the battery last on these card readers? So out of the box, these card readers can do 700 transactions on one charge. And let's see, one of the other tips that we like to call out is the very first time you connect your card reader, it may ask you for a pass key, which can be found on the back of your card reader. And it's in tiny little text. And so what we recommend is just read that pass key and then put like a piece of tape or something on the case and put that pass key on there. So then it's easier to read, it's larger, and you don't risk it getting rubbed off from the back. You may also want to do the same thing with the serial number, just writing down the serial number and attaching it to the case for your card reader. And then you just have it for easy access. Oh, the other question on here was, why is my card reader not connecting automatically to the app? And again, it's most likely because you're trying to connect it in the wrong space, the wrong place. You want to do it through the app and not through the Bluetooth settings. One other thing that I will mention with the card reader is sometimes you'll turn the card reader on, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And you'll want the blue light to come on. Once the blue light comes on, it's on and ready to be connected. Sometimes the blue light will come on and you've followed all the steps and you still can't get it to connect. And what we have found is if there may be enough battery life in your card reader to turn it on, but not enough battery life to get it connected. And so if that's the case, go ahead and plug your card reader in and let it charge for a little while and then try to connect it again. So we have found if it doesn't have enough battery life, sometimes it won't connect to the app. Okay, so I'm going to switch back over to the app and we're going to talk about how you connect this. So basically connecting your card reader, you're going to do a dummy sale. And so we're just going to go into the app, go to orders. I'm just going to grab any order. We're not actually going to process a sale. We're just trying to get it connected. So you want to make sure your card reader's on, and then in the app, go to pay and you'll tap on the credit card option at the top. And you'll want to keep your card reader close to your device. And it should be looking and finding that card reader. And you'll see right here, now that I have the green line of insert, tap, or swipe, this is ready to present a card to, right? You can also see right here that you can check the card reader's battery life. And so throughout your event, you can, check to make sure you have enough battery life to continue, swiping cards. So now that we're connected, we simply close out of this. Oh, right here, because we're not actually going to process that sale. A couple other questions that can get asked with the card reader is, can I connect multiple devices to one card reader? And the answer is yes, you can, but you want to be careful doing that. So if you have two different devices sending like orders to the card reader at the same time to be paid, there can be like a race condition, right? So if two different devices send an order at the same time, maybe this one gets it first, but this card is presented first. And so this customer could pay, customer A could accidentally or inadvertently pay customer B's order and vice versa. So you want to be very careful if you're doing that, but it does have the capability to connect to multiple devices. And once this is connected, now you're ready to start making sales. So we've done all the setup that needs to happen to ensure a smooth in-person event with Premiere. And so now it's time to start making sales. And so the first thing that you're going to do is you need to select your customer. And you have three different options when it comes to checking a customer out. So you have the new customer option. And so this is if it's a brand new customer, and actually we'll talk about these and then I'll switch over and kind of illustrate these. So with new customer, if you tap on new customer, it will want a first name, last name, and email address. Well, a lot of times at in-person events, they just want to purchase the jewelry and leave. They don't want to give you their information. And so if that's the case, then you have a guest option right here. And then you can choose guest and it will let you just move on to adding the items. And then the last option is if you're at an event where you have a lot of repeat customers or return customers that you already have in your system, you can simply type in their name and find them that way. One other thing I want to call out is maybe another helpful tip. If you're trying to build your customer base, a way that you could maybe collect some of that customer's information is by asking them to register through your online store. So through your Premiere online store. And one of the ways we suggest doing this is you can create a QR code that your customers can scan. So you can create this QR code and then you print it out, you frame it, you make it cute. And then as your line stacks up, you could send this down the line and customers can register themselves. And so you can let them know that this will make checkout faster. Some people have offered, like a free piece or to be entered into a drawing if they register. And so you can do a couple of those things. And so to create this QR code, all I did, and I will kind of show this, all I did was I went to my Premiere online store. So mine is Premiere Bling Things. And I just clicked on the register page. And so this page is where your customers can go to register their information. If they were to type in their information in this screen, as soon as they tap register, this customer will automatically be in your Premiere app. And so I just took this URL and I copied it. And then I just Googled a free QR code generator. So this is one that I found. There's tons out there. I know Canva does it. QR Tiger is another one. But I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to say URL, and then I just paste my URL here. This will generate the QR code. And then this is where I just picked the frame that says scan me. And right here, you can download this or you could print it right from here. So this is a free way. This is how I created this. And then you can do the same and create this QR code for your online store and try to get your customers to register that way. Okay. So now that we've talked about adding a customer to an order, then it's time to add your items. And there's a couple different ways you can add your items to an order. So the first is you can add your items by SKU. If you don't have the packaging or the barcode any longer on your pieces, that's okay. We also have a barcode unavailable or a generic SKU option. And so I'm actually going to flip over to the app and we'll demonstrate both of those. Okay, so in the app, I'm just gonna, I'm here at orders, and to get to orders, if you're not on this page, it's just the hamburger menu, orders. And then in the top corner up here is where you start a new order. If you're Android, it will be here at the bottom. There'll be a pink plus button at the bottom. And so I'm gonna hit the plus button, and this is where I select my customer. So today we're just going to do guest. And then I'm ready to start adding my items. Now, again, if I have the barcodes, that's what I'm going to do. And so in order to add the barcodes or to scan those pieces, I'm just going to hit the scan button right here. And as soon as I hit the scan button, you'll see it brings up my camera. One thing I want to call out is this continuous scan button down here. So if you turn continuous scan on, by default, it's off, but you can turn it on. And this setting is sticky. So once I have it on, it will remember that setting. And then the customer comes up and I simply just start adding and scanning the pieces right into the order. And let's say they have several of these rings. I can just hold this here. It has about a 1 second delay, but it will just keep scanning quantities. And you can see it counting up the quantity of these metallic silver rings. And then I'm just going to tap the back button here, and you'll see that all of my pieces have been added to the order. And you'll see down here that my consultant cost reimbursement is turned on and my ship order is turned off, like we talked about in the beginning. I also wanted to note that right here is that help bubble. If someone has a question on consultant cost reimbursement, you can tap that here, and that will kind of give you essentially a script that you can use to explain what consultant cost reimbursement is to your customers. Okay, so that's how you can scan the pieces if you have the barcodes. If you don't have the barcodes, what you can do is you'll just simply tap the add items here at the top, and then over here where it says barcode unavailable, tap on this tab. And right here, you'll have a $5 accessory. And you could simply, so if they have 10 pieces, you just simply tap this up to 10. If you wanted to try to track your inventory by department, then you could say, they have 2 necklaces, 2 bracelets, 2 rings. You also have your 4-piece sets down at the bottom, or your Z necklaces down here at the bottom. And so you can simply add those and hit add items, and it will just add them to the order. So you can see we have those here now. So either way, whether you have the packaging on your pieces or they're off, you can quickly add items to your order. One thing I would like to point out is, and it's okay if you have a mix of both, but if you've been taking your pieces out of their packaging, we would encourage you to not do that anymore. Now that you have Premiere and have a way to track the sales of the individual pieces and what's selling and what's moving, this data will become invaluable to you if you're tracking, what you're selling. And so start now and use the barcode unavailable feature for any of the pieces that you already have out of the packaging. But going forward, we would encourage you to use those SKUs because it will give you invaluable information into your business in the future. Okay, so now that we have the order ready to go, now it's time to review and pay the order, right? And so, also a couple things I just wanted to point out. So let's say you accidentally put too many of a certain one. You can simply tap on these 3 dots on the side, and you can change the quantity. So instead of 10, we'll say it's 2 and update that. Here, you can also change an item to a giveaway, or if they change their mind or you scanned one, by accident, you can remove the piece here. So that's how you can kind of edit those pieces. Okay, so now we're going to hit review at the bottom. And when we hit review, this is basically going to give you a total, and this is what you'll tell your customer. So they owe you, it's the total is 54.68. And at this point, you're going to tap pay, and you'll have three options for payment methods. So the first is a credit card, right? And this is the top method is if you have this card reader. And so we tap that and you'll see it connects and it's ready to go. So at this point, you would just tap your customer's card or insert it or swipe it, and that would complete the transaction. You don't have to have a card reader to do in-person sales. So if you don't have one of these, you could still absolutely do in-person sales. Keep in mind though, that this will speed up your checkout time exponentially. So if you're doing a lot of in-person sales, we highly recommend having these. The other thing to note is you actually get a cheaper processing rate. They call it a card present versus card not present fees. And card present transaction or processing fees are cheaper. And so it's actually cheaper in the long run for you to run cards through these card readers. But if you don't have a card reader, like I said, that's okay. Then you would choose manual credit card entry. And upon this, you'll enter the customer's zip code that's associated with the card. And then it'll give you a screen where the customer can enter their card number, or they can hand you their card and you enter their card and to do the checkout process or to complete the order. The other option you have is cash. And so when you choose the cash option, you can simply type in the amount of cash that they're giving you, or based on the amount due, the system tries to guess what amount of cash they may pull out of their wallet to pay you. So if they're going to pay you exact, you can just tap the little preset that says exact and it'll put it in there. If they pull out a $50 and a $5 bill, you can type, you can just hit that preset and it will calculate the change due. Or let's say they pull out 3 20s and hand you that, it'll show you that $5.32 is due. Or like I said, you can just type in an amount up here at the top and it'll calculate the change due. And then when you hit cash paid, remember this transaction was a guest transaction. So we don't know who this customer is. And so when you hit cash paid or you complete the sale with a credit card, you'll see this option here that you can send them a receipt or no receipt. Because this was a guest customer and we don't know their email address, we give you the option at the end of that transaction to capture that information. And so if they do want a receipt, then you could, hit receipt and have them type in their email address. To send a receipt, only email address is required. You could capture their first and last name as an optional. And then of course, if they don't want a receipt, you simply tap no receipt and it takes you right back to the screen where you would select the next customer to start your next transaction. Okay, so let's flip back over to the slides. And so we talked about adding your items. We talked about checkout. So I kind of showed all of this already. You'll click review and then pay. You'll be given all of the different payment method options. The one we didn't talk about was check, but that also is an option if you accept checks. And then once the payment's taken, you have the option to email them that receipt. Okay, a couple of the frequently asked questions that come up with in-person sales with Premiere. So one of the most common questions we get is, does inventory come out of my app when I sell it? And the answer is yes. That's the beauty of Premiere, that it tracks all of your inventory and your sales for you. So as you're selling these pieces, it's automatically decrementing the quantities from your inventory. One of the next common questions is, how long will it take for me to get my funds from sales? And so the answer to that is next day funding. Anything that you run through Premiere and through your ProPay merchant account will be funded the following day. So settlement happens at 12 o'clock or 12 a.m. Mountain Time. And so those funds will be available. So if you were to sell $500 in sales today, those sales would be or funds from those sales would be available in your ProPay account and on your pink card by like 12:01. It's minutes that it takes to settle and fund to your account. Another common question is, where can I see my pink card balance? So now that I've done all of these sales, where can I go to see how much money I have? And so we're going to flip back over to the app again, and we'll just go to the hamburger menu, and we're going to go down to manage funds. And you can see right here, my available balance is $137.08. And so this amount is available right now to spend on my pink card. Or I have the options to transfer the funds to a debit card, transfer the funds to a bank account, to another bank account, or you also have the option to add funds to your ProPay account. And some people ask, well, why would I ever want to add funds to this? And a common reason is in-person sales. So if you do a bunch of transactions, with a card, but you also accept a bunch of cash and you're trying to keep all of those funds together, you can take that cash and deposit it into the bank account that's associated with your ProPay account. And then you can come in here to manage funds and hit add funds to my ProPay account. And then it will connect, or it's already connected to that checking account, and you can pull those funds right into your ProPay account balance and then use these to purchase more jewelry or, whatever you're doing with these funds. Okay, let's switch back over. Okay, and the last thing we want to talk about is after you complete your in-person event, there's a couple things you want to remember to do. You want to remember to turn your ship order default back on. So you're back from your in-person sales event, and now you're kind of back in invoice mode, right? And so you want the system to prompt for shipping. You want those orders to go over to shipping easy. And so you'll want to turn that ship order default back on. And then the next thing is you want to remember to turn your online store back on or adjust your visibility settings to turn those items that you still have, any pieces that you brought back, back to visible. So depending on what you chose in the beginning, whether you turned your online store off or you just selected the pieces that you were taking and made them invisible, you'll want to turn those back on. And I can show you, we'll just go back over to the app. I can show you a quick way to turn all of those pieces back on. So you're going to go to the hamburger menu, and then you're going to go to inventory. And up here at the top, you have these filter options. And so we're going to tap here, and we're going to say, I want to see anything that's not visible in my store. And I'm going to apply that filter. And so these are all the pieces that are not visible. So if there's not very many, you can quickly just go through and tap them back on and save. Or you can come, if there's quite a few of them, you can come back up here and tap the 3 dots, and you can do a bulk change visibility. So I can just say, I want to set all my products in my entire store back to visible. And you can do that, and it will do it for you. Okay. Okay. So now that you've turned those settings back on, the last thing we're going to talk about is if you would like or need to purchase a card reader. So if you haven't signed up or done the onboarding process for Premiere yet, during that onboarding process, at the very end, you can select yes, that you'd like to purchase a card reader during the application, for your merchant account. But if you're already in Premiere and want to get a card reader, you can simply go to the settings and the process, payment processing and banking, and click purchase a card reader. And we'll switch over to that real quick, and I can just show you that. So again, you're going to come to the hamburger menu, go down to settings. You'll scroll down till you get to the payment processing and banking, and then you simply tap on purchase a card reader. Right here under this settings, it'll pull up the card reader that you need. You can just type in the quantity that you want. So we're going to purchase 1, continue to the next step. And right here at the top, you'll notice that you can use your ProPay account funds to purchase the card reader, or you can choose another debit, or credit card to purchase this card reader. When you purchase the card reader, so the amount of the card reader is $108.99, and that's shipped. That's the total cost. When you purchase this card reader will be shipped to the home address that you have listed in your app. And so you'll want to check the home address before purchasing the card reader to make sure that ProPay is going to ship this card reader to the right address. Home address cannot have, it doesn't accept a PO box. And so if you need this to be shipped to a PO box, in the address section, you'll just scroll a little further down. Under home address is mailing address. By default, those two addresses are the same. But if you do need it to go to a PO box, then you can add that to the mailing address, and ProPay will send the card reader to the mailing address over the home address. And keep in mind the home address and mailing address, that is the address that ProPay will send anything to. So your pink card, a card reader, your 1099K at the end of the tax year. And so yeah, keep that in mind and make sure that that's the correct address and they're not sending it to, somewhere that you're not going to receive it. Okay. And that covers in-person sales with using Premiere. So we hope you learned something today, and we're excited for you to go to your next event and use Premiere. Thanks so much.